Ava had always been the shining star in her family. The only child of devoted parents, she grew up in a warm and loving home, filled with bedtime stories, weekend trips to the park, and encouragement at every step. Her parents, James and Linda, had always known their daughter was special. From the moment she took her first steps to the day she graduated at the top of her class, they had cheered her on, always believing in her limitless potential. Ava had worked tirelessly throughout college, pouring her heart into her studies. Her efforts paid off when she graduated with honors in computer science and landed her dream job at a prestigious tech company. It was everything she had ever wanted: an innovative workspace, challenging projects, and a high salary that made her parents beam with pride. But with great opportunity came great sacrifice. Her boss, a relentless perfectionist, expected long hours and flawless results. At first, Ava didn't mind. She thrived on the challenges and was eager to prove herself. She worked late nights, often skipping meals and personal time just to meet deadlines. Her parents were thrilled for her, but couldn't help but worry. "Ava, you need to take care of yourself," her mother would say gently over their weekly video calls. "I will, Mom. It's just a busy time," she'd reply with a reassuring smile, even as exhaustion shadowed her eyes. This busy time stretched into years. Ava's life revolved around work, promotions, projects, and late nights. She barely noticed time passing until everything changed. One day, she received a call that made her heart drop. Her father had been rushed to the hospital after collapsing at home. Not long after, her mother's health also began to decline. The strong, loving parents who had always been there for her now needed her help. Ava found herself at a crossroads. She could no longer afford to work overtime. Every weekend, she drove an hour to her childhood home, where she took care of her parents, cooking, running errands, and sitting by their bedside, holding their hands as they rested. Her boss was understanding at first, but soon grew impatient. "Ava, I need you here," he said one evening after she declined yet another late-night meeting. "You've been an asset to this company, but we need full commitment." She felt the pressure, the weight of responsibility pulling her in two directions. She wanted to keep her career on track, to make her parents proud, but how could she turn her back on them when they needed her the most? After a few sleepless nights of reflection, Ava made a choice. She sat down with her boss and negotiated a new schedule, one that allowed her to work remotely a few days a week and limited her overtime. It wasn't easy, and she knew it would slow her career progression, but she had no regrets. Her parents had sacrificed so much for her. Now, it was her turn to be there for them. As time passed, she found fulfillment in caring for them, cherishing every moment. Then, one quiet evening, as she sat by her father's bedside, he took her hand and whispered, "Ava, we need to tell you something." She looked at him, confused. Her mother, frail but alert, turned her gaze toward Ava and nodded. "Sweetheart, there's something we've kept from you." Ava's heartbeat quickened. "What is it?" her father sighed. "We're not your biological parents." Silence filled the room. Ava felt the air leave her lungs. "What?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Linda reached for her hand. "We adopted you when you were a baby. We never told you because it never mattered to us. You were our daughter in every way." Tears welled in Ava's eyes. 1,000 emotions crashed into her at once: shock, confusion, love, and an overwhelming sense of gratitude. "But why tell me now?" she asked, her voice trembling. Her father smiled weakly. "Because you deserve to know where you came from. And if you ever want to find your biological family, we support you." Ava wrestled with the revelation, but eventually decided to search for her birth parents. After weeks of research and emotional turmoil, she finally found them. When she met them, her biological mother sobbed, holding her tightly. "We never wanted to give you up, Ava," she cried. "James and Linda tricked us. They made us sign the papers when we were young and scared. We were told it was just temporary, that we could come back for you." Ava's heart pounded. "What?" she whispered, disbelief washing over her. Her biological father nodded solemnly. "They took you from us, Ava. We searched for years, but we couldn't find you." Rage and betrayal boiled inside her. How could the people she loved, James and Linda, do something so cruel? Had they lied to her for her entire life? Without hesitation, she drove back to confront them. Linda, weak and barely able to lift her head, looked at her with teary eyes. James struggled to sit up in bed. "Ava," he croaked, How could you? She spat, her voice laced with fury. How could you steal me from them and lie to me my whole life? James coughed, his breath labored. That's not true. Ava shook her head. Don't lie to me. I met them. They told me everything. Linda's lips trembled. We only wanted to protect you. You don't understand. But Ava wouldn't listen. Her heart was already poisoned with doubt. She stormed out, slamming the door behind her, leaving them calling her name in weak, desperate voices. Weeks passed. She refused to return their calls or visit. She focused on work, convincing herself she didn't need them. Then, one morning, she received another call. James and Linda had passed away. Guilt crushed her like an avalanche. She rushed home, only to find herself standing over their graves, tears blurring her vision. She had been so angry, so sure they had betrayed her, only to realize she had never given them the chance to explain. Then, a lawyer handed her an envelope. Inside was a letter from Linda. My dearest Ava, we wanted to tell you the truth, but you were too hurt to listen. We never stole you. Your biological parents abandoned you at a hospital. We adopted you legally because we loved you from the moment we saw you. They only reached out to you now because they wanted money, Ava. Please don't let them destroy the love we shared. No matter what happens, we will always love you. Mom and Dad, Ava collapsed to the ground, sobbing. She had believed strangers over the two people who had raised her, loved her, sacrificed everything for her. And now, it was too late. She would never hear their voices again, never get to say she was sorry. She had spent her whole life chasing success, but in the end, she had lost the only thing that truly mattered, and it was a loss she would carry forever.